What's good? What's good? Hope everybody's having a real good day. It's your boy, the Dope Black Lawyer, aka Josh Jones, ESQ, and I want to welcome everybody to today's episode of Law and Hip Hop. So, as usual, we got a hour of power. We're gonna get into it. Before we do, uh, like I said, I welcome everybody, but I want to let you know that we're going to hear from uh, a political scientist who's going to explain to us why black people should be thanking white men um, for slavery. So stay with us. We're going to get to that in a little bit. Again, this is the number one place for you to get your current events and legal information from the culture, for the culture. We're not talking about Johnny Depp. We're not talking about Prince Harry. We're not talking about none of that. We're talking about the people who we relate to, who we understand, who we know, and we're learning about the law so that we can implement certain things into our life and refrain from doing other things. We can learn from the mistakes that other people are making, and we can keep adding on to that legacy. Everybody wants to build that legacy, so we want to be able to make sure that people are getting that information that they need. So without further ado, drop in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. I think that we have people watching from all over the world, actually, which is pretty cool. So let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from, and let us know as well if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay. So if you're on the replay squad, type in replay squad. But with that being said, let's do it. All right. So everybody knows the Miami Heat made a deep run into the playoffs. They were a number 8 seed. They weren't expected to make it so far, but they made it all the way to the finals. Unfortunately, in the first round, one of their top reserves, Victor Oladipo, was injured and missed the rest of the playoffs. While all of this was going on, Victor had some other issues as well. He had to have surgery, but on top of that, he found out that his business manager had been stealing from him, and he's filed lawsuits in New York and apparently in Florida. But his business manager moved money to buy a condo and also to buy a strip club that you might have even heard about in some rap songs. So apparently it's been talked about quite a bit. This club that that's in Queens, New York. So we spent a lot of time in New York. Everybody like to talk about Florida, but here we go again. So we're in New York, and we actually. So let me give a little bit more background. So like I said, his business manager James Henderson, he's being sued $1.3 million for the strip club and the condo. All right. So Victor's saying that Henderson accessed his bank accounts without his permission. On June 16th, there was a petition that was supposed to force Henderson to sit for a deposition to explain himself, but he didn't appear. So they're taking action. So there are some legal documents that we're going to review real quick where they have the action that's taking place in New York, and we're going to see Daily Loud, I believe, Daily Beast, one of them, Daily Beast, was able to get this petition. So this was, like you can see right here, Supreme Court of the state of New York. So in New York, it's kind of different. Most places, the Supreme Court is the highest court, but in New York, the Supreme Court is like the lowest court, one of the lower courts, before you get to the Court of Appeals, which is kind of like their Supreme Court. So it's Victor Oladipo against BK Venture Group, DBA Starlets. So Starlets is the club, and it says petitioner Oladipo brings this special proceeding pursuant to this section of the New York law, served upon BK Venture Group doing business as Starlets, to be used in an action entitled Victor Oladipo as plaintiff against James B. Henderson, James L. Henderson, and Belly Properties as defendants. So that's now pending in Orlando court in Florida. So they're trying to get information from this court in New York for their case in Florida. So The facts: the Florida action involves claims of the defendant's theft of over $1 million. Mr. Oladipo was a professional basketball player for the NBA, and he hired James to serve as his business manager. So during the course of his employment, as Oladipo's business manager, unbeknownst to Oladipo and without his authorization, James B. accessed and misused Mr. Oladipo's money to wrongfully enrich himself. So he bought real property and used it for his personal use. So after discovering the theft, he hired a new business manager, and they uncovered more misuses of the money, including investing in and or a joint venture with the respondent, which is this strip club in Woodside, New York. So they issued subpoenas. They were trying to get the deposition, and now they're asking the court for a judgment to be entered against the respondent, directing the respondent to provide the documents in accordance with the subpoena, directing the respondent to appear for a deposition, and granting such and other relief as the court deems just and proper. So that's basic language that you see all the time, but basically they're trying to get the documents and they're trying to get the depo that they want in order to be able to prove the Florida case. So that's what's going on with Victor Oladipo. I'm sure there will be more to come regarding this matter. Actually, let's see if real quick anything comes up on a quick search for the Florida case. They mentioned I searched for it earlier and I didn't find it, but maybe I was tripping. Let me try one more time. Oh, there it is. So, yeah, we will definitely be checking back in on this case. There's a lot of action going on. It's been going on. It was filed back on April 22nd, 2022. So it's not new, but they're trying to get the case moving. Right now, they're going through the discovery process, and we will stay tuned as to what's going on with this case. So, moving on to the next story. I knew we were going to spend a little bit of time there because we had the court dockets. But moving on to the next story, we got Boosie Badazz. He's in trouble. He spends a lot of time on social, and it finally caught up to him. But basically, he got picked up by the FBI outside of San Diego courthouse last week after he had just got good news about a gun case he had being dropped. He got arrested for being in possession of a weapon as a felon. Tell me how that makes sense, because it doesn't make sense for me. So Boosie, who's a felon, had a had a gun case where the charges got dropped and then got arrested for having a weapon as a felon outside of a courthouse. I mean, you really can't make it up. Boosie has an opinion about everything. A lot of times it sounds ignorant but funny. But this is no laughing matter for Boosie. He's now picked up again on another gun charge. And guess how they found out that he had the gun? The feds saw it on IG Live. So the feds are watching. It's not just the streets watching. The feds is watching too. So, they rolled up. Boosie said he didn't have a weapon. He said only his security had weapons. But then they found his security with guns, and then they found guns in the seat of the car. They were able to match the weapon from the IG Live video to the gun in the car, and he was granted a bond hearing, and now he's apologizing to his kids. So he's still on social media communicating when social media is how he got jammed up. So I'm not going to spend too much time, but be careful what you post on social. We talked about it a little while ago. It was some dudes committing murders and then talking about it on social media, communicating in pig Latin. So I guess like WhatsApp group me. That's social media as well. The people who you think you're tricking by talking in these codes, they're able to access all of your social media, whether it's from you posting it live or from obtaining a subpoena from a court. They will be able to see what you're talking about. So it's better to not say it. I remember Twista said one time on a song, he said, if you don't say shit, they won't know shit. So that might be the energy that we need to be carrying on social media, especially, but just anywhere. But man, Boosie got caught up on social. So we'll see what happens with that brother. I mean, it's real dumb. He's 40 years old, still out here making real childish mistakes. So, rising Hollywood star Jonathan Majors. He's been in the news. This is for the same story. He was arrested for domestic violence against his former girlfriend, and he said the whole time that he was not guilty, and more information is coming out. So his lawyer has said that she hopes the charges will be dropped, but his girlfriend showed up with injuries that it now seems like may have occurred in a home that Majors owned or rented while he was not there, though. So there's, she's got a driver who's willing to testify saying that she didn't have these injuries. There's testimony saying that she was in this home intoxicated and on sleeping pills, and that Majors wasn't there. So he's caught a lot of flack. He was kind of one of the Hollywood's darlings. They don't want but a handful of black people at one time to be on in Hollywood, and he was definitely one of the people who was on. And he quietly got canceled, so everything he was on kind of got postponed, taken off Disney Plus, this and that. But now it's looking like it may come out that he didn't do what he was accused of doing. His attorney is claiming that the arrest was racist, which you'll never get an argument from me stating the otherwise, but basically saying, it was a group of white officers. They weren't really trying to hear what he had to say. And, the truth is possibly coming out. So I don't want to vindicate him yet, but it seems like from what we can see that there's more to the story than what was originally told. There's a bartender who's going to testify as well, saying that Majors and an uninjured Jabari, who's the girlfriend, parted ways after the fight to embark on two separate and very different evenings. So Majors, they say, spent the rest of the night in an Upper East Side hotel, while Jabari befriended three of the passerbys who witnessed the fight. It was one woman and two men, and they went to a nightclub, and they have more evidence. So it just looks like the evidence is not panning out to support that Jonathan Majors did anything to the level of what has been alleged. They got a handyman that's going to testify. I mean, they got a bunch of people that say they're going to testify. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to come out. And one of the things the attorney alleged is that his arrest could make black men afraid to call 911. So, they say that they didn't investigate even after he showed them the damage to his face, arm, and coat. So she alleges because of racism, they believe Jabari. There's footage of the officers walking around looking out the windows while making impressed faces and mumbling to each other. So they all had cameras on, and all of the footage shows what they were doing and how they were doing it. So it does sound like he may not have gotten a fair shake. New York, for as liberal as it's claimed to be, is also known to be quite racist, especially with interactions with the police. And let's not even just say racist, because it could be it's not just white cops, but there is definitely a different type of treatment that blacks get than other people in New York. So we will see. We're going to keep following this, and if the evidence continues to point in the direction that it's pointing, then we're gonna wish Jonathan Majors all the best. We do see that one thing he did after this happened was he went and got him a black girlfriend. Megan Good is now his girlfriend, standing by his side, going to court with him and holding him down. So love to see that black love. Kudos to them. So now, what I led with, Republicans say black Americans should be thanking white people for ending slavery. So y'all want to be having these Juneteenth celebrations? Y'all want to be sitting around talking about slavery this and slavery that? Y'all ought to be glad that we even ended it, dadgummit. I don't even know what you're talking about right now. So on Monday, on C-SPAN, there was a program about Juneteenth where a scholar by the name of Dave, we only know him as Dave, says that white people are not getting the thanks they deserve. And he argued that black Americans should do more to thank the white soldiers who fought for their emancipation. Well, we appreciate that, Dave. We actually have some footage of Dave that I want to play. If I could get it tuned up real quick, because Dave is a wild boy. All right, let's hear from Dave. Here we go.
In Texas, Republican. Hi, Dave. Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. I really appreciate your show. It certainly enlightens me how Democrats think. I have not heard one white Democrat apologize for slavery.
Is he drunk?
I haven't heard any black person say thank you to the over 300,000 white men who died to free those black slaves. I'm astonished. I realize we're focusing on slavery, but my descendants are from Scotland and Ireland. We never owned slaves.
All right, there in Texas. The previous caller mentioned.
Thank you.
So it's weird to hear that, but it's not surprising. So obviously, we know that the Civil War was fought not because white Americans wanted to end slavery, but the Civil War was fought because damn near half the United States left the United States and formed its own country. So in response to that, the United States had the great idea of freeing the slaves in all the states that had already left the Union. Therefore, did they really free the slaves? So obviously, no, those states weren't even listening or participating in the United States. They were the Confederate states at that time. And then they proceeded to have a war with those southern states so that they could regain their dominance over those southern states and bring them back into the United States. An effect of that was, yes, slavery did end. But the 1863 Emancipation Proclamation that they didn't get word of in Texas for several years didn't really free any slaves. So what are we even thanking people for? Thanking white men for? That sounds preposterous, Dave. Sounds real stupid. But you know, it also sounds about white, you know. So we're gonna hit Dave with that sounds about white for making the whitest statements you could make on a day that was meant for acknowledging Juneteenth. Like I posted on Twitter on Juneteenth, y'all could keep Juneteenth, just give us the reparations. You know, I see all these people who are at home for Juneteenth who don't even understand, care to understand, want to understand anything about Juneteenth. So just give me the reparations, bro. You know, moving on. That boy Dave, boy. Staying on theme, in Florida, there's a group of squatters who have taken over. I don't even really know exactly what we'll call it, but basically they're calling it Meth Island. But basically, they built a welcome center, a tree house, and all types of structures that can be rented for $10 a night. Basically they're just hanging out near Daytona. So the police gave the squatters 48 hours to vacate the island. I'm not sure if that happened, but I just want you to see a little bit more clearly. I know you see the one picture right there, but these people are really out there having the best time of their life right now in Daytona. So here you can see the welcome center. You can see the police going in. This is one of the places where they're hanging out. Nugget Inc. They got a trampoline up in here, all types of campgrounds. Low key looks like a lot of fun for a meth head. I'm not gonna lie. If I was on meth, I might want to be there myself. But man, what a crazy scene to see. So we're not gonna stay there too long. We're gonna move down south a little bit more, staying in Florida. We're gonna talk about the YNW Melly trial. As you know, Jamel Demons is on trial for double murder in Broward County. His attorney moved to have the case ended for a mistrial. There was a motion for a mistrial. It was denied. Basically, it was around the defense last week on Thursday where a registered nurse whose daughter was in a relationship with Demons testified and painted him in a picture that the court had said that she couldn't, but the court, for some reason, allowed for the jury to hear it. So the jury heard some statements that shouldn't have been heard, and he says that he's not guilty. There's some other evidence. We're going to go a little bit deeper. We're going to have actually probably a whole episode just about this trial next week because it's still going to be going on. We're going to kind of break it all the way down so that, you know, within 30 minutes or so, you can understand everything that's happened so far. Actually, the Dope Black Lawyer of the Day is a YNW Melly's lawyer, David Howard. So we're going to talk about David and the defense that he's putting on for his client more. But for now, we just want to kind of highlight that. Today in trial, they had a gang expert who was allowed to testify with a mask on, with a ski mask on, to protect their identity. But we're going to get into all of that. So stay tuned. If you're interested in the YNW Melly trial, let us know in the comments as well. So just to recap the stories that we talked about so far. And if you want to go hear more about them, then you can rewind if you're just jumping in right now. But Victor Oladipo, Miami Heat player, is suing his longtime business manager for stealing money to open up a strip club and to buy a condo. Boosie Badazz, do people call him Boosie Badazz? I don't know. I just say Boosie. But Boosie is arrested for being a felon in possession of a gun right after he had beat another case for being a felon in possession of a gun, and they found out about it because of social media. So we didn't show this the last time, but yeah, like if you're not supposed to have a gun, don't go live showing your gun. That's probably could go without being stated. Also, we got Jonathan Majors. There's some new updates, some new evidence that is being brought out. It looks like there's many people who are going to be testifying that the charges against him are at the most exaggerated, but possibly completely false. We also have Dave from Texas, Republican, who says that y'all blacks should be thanking white men for fighting to end slavery, even though that's not what they did. That sounds about white. And then squatters who took over a Florida island south of Daytona and turned it into a meth island. It's a meth head playground paradise. So if you're on meth, you might want to look that up. And then we got the YNW Melly trial. It's still going on. He's facing double murder, and the death penalty's on the table. So we're going to be talking about that a lot more. And now we're going to talk about something that we talk about a lot, but we're patrolling the police, keeping up with police misconduct and things of that nature. So in Mississippi, there's quite a bit happening right now, but the first thing that we're going to talk about is a Mississippi man who was shot in the mouth while 6 white Rankin County police officers held him and his friends during an alleged drug raid. He's hired an attorney, Malik Shabazz, and filed a $400 million federal lawsuit. So Michael Corey Jenkins and Eddie T. Parker, both black, say their civil rights were violated on January 24th when deputies from Rankin County Sheriff Department came into the Parker residence and handcuffed the men while they searched for drugs. When the officers didn't find anything, they used excessive interrogation methods to coerce a confession, is what their attorney Malik Shabazz has stated. So for 2 hours, they were repeatedly punched, kicked, slapped, shocked with stun guns, and berated with racist comments. The officers allegedly attempted to use a sex toy to rape Jenkins and Parker, according to the lawsuit. And Shabazz says that they intentionally deactivated their body cams. So we'll definitely stay in touch with what's going on here, but I just want to kind of show, I mean, this was not just like, they just kind of went in there and did their thing like the police are known to do. But I mean, this is a serious situation. This is Michael Jenkins right here. His family submitted a photo, and this is 2 weeks after the incident happened. This isn't even like right when it happened. So they couldn't find anything. So obviously the attorneys for the sheriff department don't want to say anything, but we kind of talked about it. There's a federal investigation in connection to the case. We'll see what happens. Shabazz classified the incident as a free-for-all of intimidation and torture that included death threats. So something to note is this right here. In the ongoing lawsuit, video evidence from the scene led the judge to deny qualified immunity for Bailey, who's one of the officers. And qualified immunity is what we have talked about in the past, but basically this is what makes it hard to sue the police, is because they get wide discretion in doing their job because of the nature of the danger of the job, and they're immune from some of their actions based on qualified immunity. So, there is a video that depicts officers firing their weapons at a face-down Woods for at least 7 seconds after he exited the front door. The court also notes that Sheriff Bailey held the authority to cease fire, which would immediately stop the officer shooting, according to an order filed in March by the judge, Henry T. Wingate. So it looks like, they have a very serious case here. There was other lawsuits in the same area, including the shooting death of Pierre Woods. So something to see there. And like I said earlier, this is not an assault on white cops or white people. It's just, doing the right thing. So there's an 11-year-old boy in Mississippi who was shot on May 20th, and the officer has been suspended without pay effective immediately. In that case, the officer was his brother right here. Skinfolk ain't always kinfolk. Sergeant Greg Caper felt, for whatever reason, that it made sense for him to shoot this 11-year-old boy right here. So I don't know who this boy could have done anything to, as small as he is. But like I said, this little boy, Adarian Murray, called the police seeking help. His mother told him to contact the police due to a domestic disturbance involving his dad, who had been exemplifying aggressive behavior. So Sergeant Capers broke down the front door, made everyone gather in the living room with their hands up, and then he shot Adarian as he was complying. So this family has a $5 million federal lawsuit as well in Mississippi. And it doesn't stop there. In Orlando, police misusing their power as well. But in Orlando, there was a police officer who was relieved of duty pending investigations. He was driving 80 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour non-emergency situation. He was on his way to work in a police vehicle when he refused to cooperate with the deputy who stopped him. The officer refused to give his license and took off. Officer Alexander Shouni faces charges of resisting an officer, reckless driving, and fleeing and eluding a law enforcement officer with their lights and sirens activated. And got some footage of this incident as well.
He's the guy that
Police, they could do anything.
copy down that bumper.
This one or this one?
Yeah, 11070. Pull over. You gonna pull over?
Please say a command.
Pull over. Three 113 to 313.
What?
Do you?
I am going into work, my man. Why are you trying to pull me over as I'm going into work?
Because you're going 80 and a 45.
I am going into work.
Okay, where are you going
What
to
does
work
it look
for?
like I am dressed for?
I have
What
no...
does it look like I am dressed for?
My name is Deputy Hilton. I need to see your driver's license.
No.
Okay. 3113, copy at 1050. 10-4, I got a city, Orlando PD taking off from a traffic stop. It's going to be X-ray Foxtrot 6207, XF 6207. You refuse to stop.
There you go. Police, don't even listen to the police, but they want you to listen to the police. It's just crazy, the stuff that you see. A lot of times, you know, they get away with hiding behind their badge. Salute to the officer who pulled this other officer and, you know, actually went forward with the charges. And I wish I could say that was the last one for the day, but we did have one more story. Again, we've talked about dope black lawyer Ben Crump many times. I believe this is it. So this is a 19-year-old man in Detroit. It is, I guess, a little bit of what they call sensitive content, but it's what happened. Again, we're not picking on white officers. We just want the police and law enforcement to do the right thing. I mean, he cold cocked. He's still hitting him. These other dudes not telling him to stop. They holding the man down. So hopefully this 19-year-old man in Detroit, well, Warren, this happened in Warren, Michigan. He's from Detroit. Hopefully he's okay, and hopefully he is able to sue and get something for the pain and suffering that he had to endure. I mean, that's a wild situation right there. You know, we won't play it again, but look, like they're saying, the fact that they know they're on camera shows you that they don't give a fuck about being caught. They get a paid vacation with a slim chance of being convicted, and those two who did nothing should be fired. All three should be fired. I would find his son and do the same thing. See, that's the only way we are going to stop. They are going to stop playing with us. The behavior by these three officers should warrant an immediate termination without pay, no suspension, no leave, no pay, no retirement. I mean, people are going in, as they should. Usually you can find somebody who's trying to stand up and make an excuse for what's going on, but you don't see that. I show my boys this so they know the type of people out here in the world and what they're capable of. He picked him up by his hair. All three of those officers should be charged, fired, sued, and sent to jail. Yeah. All of this has gone too far. I don't give a damn what he said. People have the right to speak. The U.S. is totally insane. Hate is like bullying a bag of potato chips, and officers cannot eat just one. They keep hitting, beating, and killing. Karma is a beast. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, these are the dudes who got picked on in school, was real lame, and now they use this power to feel dominant over people, you know what I'm saying, who otherwise reminding them of the people who might have been picking on them when they were in school. So I hate to see it, and you know, I haven't even seen this one yet, but I mean, it just doesn't stop.
You said we have a potential shoplifter. So you did say that.
No, I'm recording because you done lost your mind.
Are you with these guys? No, she's not with us. But she can say.
Accusing people of shoplifting because they had.
So, sir, to make it sure.
So this is an officer called to the scene, accusing people of shoplifting because they have expensive items in their cart in the store, still shopping, not outside. But this is the type of treatment that black people face. And it's crazy because I was talking about it with some people, and it's like kind of become immune to and you get used to, because everywhere you go, you kind of think about it. Like, I got to move like this so that stuff like this does not happen to me.
I'm not hostile. I'm not being violent. I just want to know why the store called the police because they thought we were shoplifting. We just purchased a new home, right? We came in because you all are closing. It's a closing sale. I didn't realize there was like a maximum of items you could buy, right? So we were not shoplifting, but the police were called because we thought we were. I'm Ivy League educated. I have on a college shirt. Even that doesn't stop us from profiling, right? Not 1 degree, but 2 degrees.
I didn't call.
So you called, and you're not saying anything. I'm wondering why were the police called? Because you said, you called them and said you have potential shoplifters because they have.
We're not going to be able to resolve this. I don't know what you want us to say, but I don't care if the white, black, or green. If somebody is walking around with big, high-ticket items, that's.
So everybody who's walking around with big high-ticket items, they're calling the police on. I'm going to call BS right there. What you think? Drop it in the comments. Tell us what you think.
People walk around with high-ticket items. I mean, Dyson's. So right, the fine high-ticket items.
That's why they walked it up to the counter so that.
So right, here's another thing, sir. Just so we can have the record straight. The high ticket items, the most expensive thing I had in my bucket was the vacuum that y'all took from me. And
You
put behind the
were
counter.
over there when we got that.
So the high
So
ticket
what makes
items.
you think we were gonna steal
So-
that?
Here too. We go. That's why they're locked up and go out to the
So
counter.
to be clear, you all called the police because the high ticket items were in our budget.
They got a problem keeping up with the corporate office.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
We're not getting anywhere, so if you got a complaint, file a complaint with their corporate office, okay?
Well-
Because we're done here, our involvement is done.
Well, let me ask you this
We have
question.
no problem. And
Let
we're
me
not
ask you this
gonna answer
question.
no more questions.
Well, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to him.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm asking you is, when you all came out,
Completely disregarding this individual who just had the police call on him. So I mean, I would have questions too. Who wouldn't have questions? Who wouldn't be upset, right? You just walking around shopping, you know, dressed up, fresh, clothes expensive, don't look like a bum, don't look like you know what I'm saying, somebody who's trying to steal, and people call the police on you in a store that's going out of business. So I know this stuff is not full price. If it was full price, or if it was a high ticket item, why would it be out there? When you go to the Apple store, you can't steal no computers. All the computers in there are secure, and the ones that you're gonna buy, they have to bring it out from the back. So I don't even understand the whole expensive item thing. If the items were so precious, why are they even on the floor where people could get them? Everywhere where I go where they don't want you to get stuff, you got to get a ticket, you got to take it to the front counter, you got to do something. It's not just like a situation where you can walk around with their precious items.
and they said we had 3 potential shoplifters, they describe us at all? They just like, yeah, they let you know who we were?
2 black males.
2 black males.
Yes.
Okay. And so y'all didn't come find us, y'all just stayed here until we came out, right?
The main thing was nothing was concealed, so that's why we just stood by the.
You said we have a potential shoplifter. So you did say that.
No, I'm recording because you don't lost your mind.
Are you with these guys?
Yeah, so I mean, they said 2 black males shoplifting. I don't know, but we're going to continue to follow these stories. You know, Bed Bath & Beyond, that's probably why they had to file for bankruptcy and why they're going out of business, because they treat people like they ain't nothing. And nobody wants to shop in a store like that. So we will continue to follow these stories and patrol the police. And we're going to end it how we always do with the Florida. So a woman allegedly steals a Coast Guard tricycle and rides it onto the taxiway of a busy Florida airport. Now, what more do I need to say than that, right? But that's exactly what happened. And essentially, she's facing felony charges after breaking into a U.S. Coast Guard installation, stole a tricycle, and drove it onto the taxiway of the St. Pete Clearwater Airport. She was arrested last week after being noticed by airport employees who had watched the surveillance. Coast Guard spokespeople said the woman first tried to gain access to one of their aircrafts, eventually ditched the tricycle, and attempted to board an Allegiant Airline flight bound for Argentina, but was confronted by airline employees. She is facing felony charges of trespassing onto an operational area of an airport and grand theft. So far, her name has not been released. Why they're protecting her, I couldn't tell you. But, wow. I have not been able to find that video, but if I find it tomorrow, if I find it next week, if I find it next year, I will be sharing that video with y'all because that is hilarious. I'm going to try to find it one more time. Woman steals Coast Guard tricycle. I mean, that's what we want to see right there. We want to see that. We want to see that video. But yeah, these people is out of control. I don't even know what will possess somebody to even want to do that. Has anybody here ever stolen government vehicles or anything of that nature? Let's see if we can see it right here. But the funniest part is she tried to flee to Argentina. Like they wasn't going to know that nobody was going to catch her. That's hilarious. But yeah, so we're having a hard time loading the video. I think I found it. If I indeed did find it, we're going to post this as a short on YouTube and probably on IG as well and Twitter. So with that said, we made it to the end of the episode. We love doing this. I had somebody reach out to me and tell me they really want to go in on the YNW Melly, so that's why we're going to do a whole special episode on that. It may be a video, not a live, but there will be. We're going to break the whole thing down so that everybody can kind of understand what's going on with that situation, and we'll be back as well next week, Thursday at 3 for the regularly scheduled show as well. We appreciate you for showing up today. We appreciate you for staying till the end. If you have any questions, you can leave an audio message at speakpipe.com/dopeblack-lawyer, or you can send an email to holla@dopeblack-lawyer.com. We're on IG, we're on Twitter, we're on obviously YouTube, and if you have any legal questions, specific legal questions that you want a dope black lawyer to help you with, you can also reach out to us at holla@dopeblack-lawyer.com, and we will get you in touch with a qualified black lawyer in your area so that you can get the results that you're looking for, because at the end of the day, all we care about is results. So, we're not just going to connect you with a regular lawyer. We're going to connect you with a dope black lawyer because that's who is in our network. So nationwide, soon to be international, that's who we rocking with. We appreciate you for rocking with us. We'll see you next week. And until then, have a good one.